Welcome to Tales by Amir, where real stories come alive, stories that touch the heart, challenge the mind, and remind us that life is full of lessons we often learn too late. If you love true stories about family, love, betrayal, and redemption, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because today's story, it's one you won't forget. When I walked into the courtroom that morning, I didn't expect my heart to break twice in the same breath. My daughter, my only daughter, laughed when she saw me. And her husband, my son-in-law, the man I once treated like a son, couldn't even look me in the eyes. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I could hear the faint echo of that laugh, cold, sharp, and filled with something I couldn't understand. Was it mockery, anger, or just guilt hiding behind a mask of confidence? I never imagined my life would come to this. A courtroom, my own blood on the other side. And all over what? A house, money, pride. No, it was over trust, something far more valuable than anything written on a legal document. Let me start from the beginning. I'm David. I'm 62 years old. For most of my life, I worked as a mechanic. I built my business from scratch, one customer at a time, one car at a time, one long, exhausting day after another. My wife, Margaret, and I raised our daughter, Lily, with everything we had. She was our miracle child. We couldn't have more kids after her, so she was our whole world. We didn't come from money, but we made sure she never felt like she lacked anything. We saved for her education, supported her dreams, and cheered for her every step of the way. She was bright, ambitious, and full of life. When she graduated college and got her first job, I remember the pride swelling in my chest. She looked at me that day and said, "Dad, I'm going to make you proud." And she did. At least, that's what I believed. Then came Daniel. He was charming, polite, and intelligent. He had this confident smile that made you believe everything he said. He worked in finance, came from a good family, and seemed to adore Lily. They met at work, and within a year, they were engaged. I'll admit, I had my doubts. He was too smooth, too quick to say the right things. But my wife adored him, and Lily was in love. So, I kept my reservations to myself. They got married in a small church ceremony. I paid for most of it, happily. Seeing her walk down the aisle, radiant in white, holding my arm, that was the proudest moment of my life. I thought I was handing her over to a good man. But life has a cruel way of revealing people's true faces. A few years into their marriage, things started to change. They'd visit less often. Lily stopped calling as much. When she did, she sounded distant. My wife said it was normal, that children have their own lives. I tried to believe that. Then came the day when Daniel called me. He sounded polite as always, but there was something rehearsed in his tone. He said, "Dad, I was wondering if we could discuss something important. It's about the house. The house, our home of 35 years. I had recently retired, and Margaret's health was declining. We were thinking of downsizing, maybe selling the place and moving closer to the countryside." Daniel suggested that instead of selling, I could transfer ownership of the house to Lily, that it would be better for tax reasons, and simplify inheritance. He spoke with that slick confidence again, the kind that sounds smart but hides something underneath. I told him I'd think about it. When I brought it up to Margaret, she hesitated. "It's Lily, David," she said softly. "She'd never hurt us. Maybe it's a good idea." And against my better judgment, I agreed. I signed the papers. I transferred the deed to my daughter's name. It was meant to be a gesture of love, a father's trust. A way of saying, this is your future. This is your security. But soon after, everything began to crumble. Margaret passed away 6 months later. Her heart finally gave out. I was shattered. For weeks, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think straight. Lily and Daniel came around at first. They helped with the funeral, stayed a few days. Then they left. Life moved on for them. For me, it stopped. A month later, I received a letter. A legal notice. My own daughter, my Lily, was evicting me from my house. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I called her immediately, but she didn't answer. I texted. No reply. Then I called Daniel. He answered. Calm, composed, almost professional. "David, I think there's been some confusion," he said. "The house is legally Lily's now. We need to sell it." "Sell it," I shouted. "That's my home. Your wife grew up here. You can't just. He interrupted, it's not about sentiment. It's about practicality. You're living alone, and it's not efficient for you to keep such a big property. Efficient. That's the word he used. Efficient. I hung up and sat there for hours, staring at the walls that held decades of memories, the pencil marks measuring Lily's height, the photo frames, the smell of Margaret's cooking still lingering in the kitchen. It didn't make sense. None of it did. A few days later, I got another letter. They were serious. They wanted me out within 30 days. When I refused, the court summons arrived. My daughter's name was on it. Plaintiff, Lily Thompson. Defendant, David Thompson, her own father. The day of the hearing, I sat in the corridor, trembling. I wasn't scared of losing the house, I was scared of losing her. I kept hoping she'd come out of the courtroom, hug me, say it was all a misunderstanding. But when I walked in, she laughed. That's when I knew. The girl I had raised, the one who used to run to me with scraped knees and tearful eyes, wasn't there anymore. Sitting in her place was someone else, someone colder, sharper, and completely detached. Her husband looked away. He couldn't meet my eyes. Maybe guilt was eating him. Maybe he didn't care. I don't know. The judge asked questions. The lawyers talked. I barely listened. My mind was stuck on her face, that faint smirk she tried to hide. The one that said, "You shouldn't have doubted me." I didn't have a lawyer. I spoke for myself. My voice trembled when I said, "Your Honor, this isn't about property. It's about betrayal. I gave my daughter everything I had. All I asked for was respect." There was silence. Then her lawyer stood up and spoke about legal ownership, and transfer rights, and emotional bias. It was all just words, cold, polished words with no soul behind them. The verdict didn't take long. The property was legally hers. I was ordered to vacate within 60 days. She didn't even look at me when she walked out. I packed what little I had left. The house felt different, empty, like it already belonged to strangers. Every sound echoed with memories. I took Margaret's photo, a few clothes, and my old toolbox. That was it. I moved into a small rented apartment on the edge of town. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and that meant something. For months, I battled anger and sorrow. I asked myself over and over, where did I go wrong? Was I too strict, too soft? Did I love her too much? Or not enough? The questions never stopped, and the answers never came. Then, one day, I received another call. It was from Daniel. "David," he said quietly. "Can we talk?" I almost hung up, but something in his voice stopped me. He sounded different, tired, broken even. He asked to meet in person. We met at a small cafe. He looked thinner, his eyes hollow. He sat down, avoided eye contact, and said, "Lily left me." Apparently, after getting the house in her name, Lily sold it, without telling him. Took the money, moved to another city, and cut him off completely. She had met someone else. The irony burned like fire inside me. He confessed everything. It had been her idea all along. She had manipulated both of us. Told him it was for our future, but she was only thinking of herself. He said, "I should have stopped her, David. I'm sorry." I wanted to hate him. But all I felt was exhaustion. I'd lost my wife, my daughter, my home. What was left to hate? Months turned into years. I built a quiet life again. I worked part-time at a local garage, fixing cars, helping customers, finding peace in the rhythm of old habits. Some people recognized me. A few even asked, "Hey, weren't you the guy in that court story?" I just smiled and said, "That's the past." Then one winter morning, I got a letter. It was from a lawyer. Lily had passed away. A car accident. She was 32. I didn't cry right away. I just sat there, holding the paper, feeling the weight of everything I'd ever loved slipping through my fingers. The lawyer explained that she had left a letter for me. He handed me a sealed envelope. My hands shook as I opened it. "Dad," it began, "if you're reading this, I'm gone. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve it. I just want you to know why." She wrote about feeling overshadowed. About how she felt like she could never measure up to me or Mom. How she resented the way we protected her. How she wanted to prove she could stand on her own, even if it meant hurting me. She admitted that she manipulated Daniel. That she regretted it. that by the time she realized what she'd done, it was too late. Her last line was what broke me: "I wanted to make you proud, but I only proved that I was never ready to deserve your trust." I visited her grave a week later. It was a quiet spot near the river. I stood there for hours, not saying anything, just letting the wind carry all the words I couldn't speak. I forgave her in my heart. Not because she deserved it, but because I needed peace. And that's when I realized something: forgiveness isn't about excusing what someone did. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of what they made you feel. I never got my house back. But I got something more important, a kind of peace that no property, no court, no paper could ever take away. Now, when people ask me about that day in court, I don't talk about the laughter or the betrayal. I tell them this: family isn't defined by blood or by the things we give. It's defined by the choices we make when love and pride collide. Sometimes, the people you'd take a bullet for are the ones holding the gun. But that doesn't mean you stop loving, it just means you learn to love without losing yourself. If you're listening to this and you've been hurt by someone you trusted, a child, a friend, a partner, remember, you can survive it. You can rebuild. You can find peace again. Forgiveness doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger than the pain that tried to break you. I still visit that old neighborhood sometimes. I park my car down the street, look at the house from afar. The new owners have painted it blue. There's a swing in the yard. It looks happy. And that's enough for me. Because maybe life isn't about holding on. Maybe it's about letting go, with grace. This was my story. A story about love, loss, betrayal, and the long road to forgiveness. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You never know, someone out there might need to hear this today. You've been listening to Tales by Amir, where every story has a lesson, and every lesson has a heartbeat. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care of your heart, and never stop believing that even the darkest stories can lead to light.